Hey, person. Hey, buddy. It's because it's basketball. That's why nobody watched it. Go, sports team, go. All right. Hey, hockey is a sport. I watch the heck out of hockey. Oh. I mean, if it's on, sure, but I'm not going to go out of my way to go watch basketball. It's boring. Chick-fil-A. Those sandwich things are so dang good. Is that what you got? Man, and why are you leaving? Why are you leaving?
I'm trying to get her to stay. I'm getting bribed. Maybe we can put on our income that you get free sandwiches and you'll stay.
That's a deal.
These? Little chicken minis.
They're like crack
They are like
in bread. It's really good. It's really good. Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. What you got going on, Brian? Yeah. No. Oh. Looks like you're doing something cool. Oh, okay. Okay, today we're gonna transition over to some things we have to get done for our E.H.S net. When we did that interview for the Ravs 360, there was some information, like I told you guys about. Some of the answers were 80 decibels when it should be 85. I feel like the guy was trying to find something wrong with us because we were so awesome. So, what's that? 80 is not the number. 85. 85. You're close. Yeah, safer. Yep. So we're gonna go into. I'm gonna try and spend 15 minutes on each. We've got 4 to go through. So bloodborne pathogens, noise exposure, fire protection plan, and lockout tagout. Lockout tagout are the topics we're gonna cover. So I'm not gonna go into super detail of all of them. I'm just gonna hit key points that were missed, and then we can open up discussion if anybody wants to. I heard this or I heard that. We can have a discussion on it. So today might be kind of quick, depending on how quickly we can make things go. So, okay, it is important. So let me reiterate. Since I've been here, Tall Timbers has been. We're getting pretty close behind as far as compliance. Okay, there's a lot more in the compliance world that we do not partake in. Because a lot of the contracts we have they're not a requirement. Okay, if we do get a Colorado Springs utility contract, which is working with utilities, work around energized conductors, there's going to be a lot more we're going to have to do to stay compliant with them. Okay, so this information, this is like the OSHA stuff that gets really boring and mundane, and it doesn't seem like it's important. But I'm gonna tell you now, just like I told you guys a while back, go with like the ANSI stuff. That stuff was paid in blood. The reason why those rules and regulations are in the ANSI Z133 or the OSHA 1910, 269, and the 29 CFR are because something had happened, and so people wrote regulations to avoid people getting hurt, maimed, and killed. Okay. I wish there was a better way to not make it so dry and boring, because it's dry and boring information, but there are specific and legit reasons behind each regulation and why you should follow it to the T. Um, so yeah, with that, try and remember the key points in it. If not, remember where to find it, and that's the biggest key, is where to find it. And if you don't know, right, find out the answer and learn to know. Okay, does that even make sense? Learn to know. Sure, cool. Yeah, learn to know. Okay. Because as like I'm gonna say, I'm gonna reiterate again. As tall timbers gets bigger, right, we're gonna need guys and gals who will pass this torch along and carry the torch of the importance of this stuff. Like I said, I hate it. It's not fun. I'd rather be slaying big trees and doing crane jobs or something like that. Something more fun. But this is a good foundation and good stuff to know, and stuff in there is life saving as well. Okay. Okay. So with that, bloodborne pathogens. Everybody knows where the E.H.S is, right? No? Okay, Brian, tell Mr. Eric where the E.H.S can be found. Oh, Brian, disappointment. Disappointing. I know you know, but I'm not gonna pick it. What about you, Jacob? It is in your app. Pointed that out. Yeah, come on. What does E.H.S stand for? No, not emergency action. It's close. No. Nope. All right, Linda, what is it? Environmental health and safety. Okay. You guys weren't even close. Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so environmental health and safety program is what this is. So companies have to write up programs and SOPs. So SOP stands for standard operating procedures for specific normal operation stuff that the company or employees will encounter. Okay, so something like our stop work authority plan. That is an SOP. That is in our E.H.S. What does it entail? Well, you can go to page, where are we at? 7 in the E.H.S and find out what the stop work authority plan is. Okay. Items like how does Tall Timbers handle medical records? Okay, that's in there. You can find it at page 38. What is our policies on personal protective equipment? It's page 48. So this is a operational program that outlines the stuff we encounter, and it's a document, obviously, that we give to hiring clients like Cost Springs Utilities or the government or any other contractor that would want it, and they will look over this and scrutinize it to make sure that we are being compliant. All of this stuff that is in the E.H.S is OSHA regulated. These are things we have to abide by. This isn't, I got bored one night and decided to write this up. These are actual things that you have to follow if you encounter these certain things in the workplace. Okay, does that make sense? So it's really important. It's law. Okay, so if someone ever gets hurt or we have an incident, right? OSHA's going to come in. They'll do their thing, or whoever the investigating persons are. They'll come in. They're going to ask for this document. What is your guys' policies on bloodborne pathogens? See how I transitioned into that right there? That's pretty good, huh? Right? Because I saw your guys, they had a lot of blood on an item, and he just threw it in a dumpster. Okay? That was one of the questions in the RAVS 360 that we got wrong. Okay? So With that, with bloodborne pathogens and proper disposal of contaminated stuff, how are we supposed to go about that? Does anybody know? Medical waste bag. Okay, a proper disposal is in a medical waste bag or a medical company that will dispose of it properly, usually incinerate it. Okay, so if we have things contaminated with blood, it doesn't go in the trash bags or in the dumpsters. It has to get properly disposed of. They take it to an incinerator. Yeah, we have to call them. Okay, what's that? According to this guy. Now, if it's an approved, like if we have like those needles, right? That's fine. The sharps, yeah, that's fine. We do not have that. We don't have one. No, we don't have one. Hopefully, nobody here is using sharps. I mean, unless it's medical, that's different. That's different. But recreational, please. That's bad. Yeah, diabetes, that kind of stuff. Insulin resistance. Yeah. Well, technically, we're supposed to have, as a company, a biohazard waste disposal program and a place to contain that. So, if it's a large amount, we will set it aside and call the proper authorities to come and take care of it. Yeah. Yep. Can't throw it in the trash can. No. There is. Well, let's dive in. Okay, so bloodborne pathogens. Page 26. Okay. No pictures. We're not gonna. In the app, guys, if you go down in the CPR first aid employee handbook, that will be in there. There would be some pictures of it. Okay. Okay. So Tall Timbers policy on bloodborne pathogen plan is committed to providing a safe and healthful work environment for our entire staff. In pursuit of this goal, the following exposure control plan (ECP) is provided to eliminate or minimize occupational exposure to bloodborne pathogens in accordance with OSHA standard 29 CFR 1910-1030. Occupational exposure to bloodborne pathogens. Okay. Also, if you guys didn't know this, OSHA is free. Okay. Unlike the ANSI Z133 or the ANSI A300s, actually, I think the Z133 is going to be free this year if it hasn't been already. Has it been already? Digitally, okay. That is the same for OSHA now. So any OSHA regulation, you go to the OSHA website and type it in and find our industry, is free to research all the regulations that are within our industry. Okay, just FYI. So you can type in the 1910, 1030 at 29 CFR, and you will find these regulations here that it falls under, plus many more that are in there. So just FYI, it's free and available to you. The emergency control plan is a key document to assist organization in implementing and ensuring compliance with the standard, thereby protecting our employees. This ECP includes determination of employee exposure, implementation of various methods of exposure control, including universal precautions, engineering and work practice controls, personal protective equipment, and housekeeping. All right, we can keep reading on. I encourage you guys, like I think during the onboarding, I've encouraged you guys to read through this stuff, but it is good just to glance through our E.H.S. One key good thing you'll get to take away from that is you'll learn the language. There's a different type of style to the language of compliance and regulations and how to talk like that. So it's good just to read it to understand how that talks, especially if you start interacting with somebody like from one of our vendors or something like that, they're talking like that. If you start speaking their language, right, you can understand and build a connection there. Then they know, oh, this guy's been and he understands what I'm talking about. The same thing with like a tree guys, right? We start talking about porter wraps and dynamic loading and span rigging and all that fun stuff. I talked to my wife like that, and she's like, Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, come on, it's simple. Like, you know what span rigging is? Like, you know. So it's the same thing, okay? So it's good. It's good just to digest it or ingest it and digest it, and read through it. If you guys ever have free time, which usually we don't. So yeah, good luck. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Okay, so the one I want to touch base on, like I said before, and then we're going to move on to noise exposure, is the housekeeping, which is the blood part. So exposure and waste removal. All right, so this kind of pertains to it. So, all right, all employees using PPE must observe the following precautions. So, again, if we're just taking little band-aids and we have little cuts and bruises or splinters, this does not pertain to that. This is, workplace industry or workplace injuries that are significant amount of blood, where the needs to have medical attention. Okay. Um, so wash hands immediately or as soon as feasible after removing gloves or another PPE. Remove PPE after it becomes contaminated and before leaving the work area. Used PPE may be disposed of in list appropriate containers for storage, laundering, decontamination, or disposal. So those are proper disposable containers. It's not wrapping them in trash bags, double bagging them, and tossing them in the dumpster. It has to be properly exposed. Okay. Any kind of contamination. So, do you think vomit is part of that? Absolutely. Okay. Vomit, urine, feces, and blood, anything that comes out of the body is going to be considered a contamination, a biohazard, and needs to be disposed of properly. If you're sick because you did something the night before that you probably shouldn't have, and right, and you come to work and then you're up on a tree and you vomit, that's a little different than someone who's sick and going into shock and they're throwing up because of the situation. So, okay. So definitely dispose of that stuff properly. Okay. All right. Wear appropriate gloves when it is reasonably anticipated that there may be hand contact with blood or OPIM, which I don't remember what it is. I'll look that up. And when handling or touching contaminated items or surfaces, replace gloves if torn, punctured, or contaminated, or if their ability to function as a barrier is compromised. Okay, you guys remember through CPR first aid how to take those gloves off? Okay, every first aid kit should have disposable nitrile gloves. If not, come see me. I have extras. Okay. Okay. So at the bottom, housekeeping regulations. House regulated waste is placed in containers which are closable, constructed to contain all contents and prevent leakage, appropriately labeled or color coded, and closed prior to removal to prevent spillage or protrusion of contents during handling. No tall timbers, tree, and shrub service employees should be allowed to handle used PPE or housekeeping because of an exposure unless authorized or qualified to do so. Contaminated sharps are discarded immediately or as soon as possible in containers that are closable, puncture resistant, leak proof on sides and bottoms, and appropriately labeled or color coded. Sharps disposal containers are available at yeah, I don't know where they're at. I missed something there. Okay. Anybody got a pen handy? And we're tree trimmers. We don't know how to write. Okay, so that's got to be available at marked locations, right? So they'll be identified and there'll be training on that is what's supposed to follow after that, okay? Okay, must be easily accessible and as close as feasible to immediate area where sharps are used. Bins and pails Wash or MSS basins are cleaned and decontaminated as soon as feasible after visible contamination. Broken glassware that may be contaminated is only picked up using mechanical means such as a brush and dustpan. Okay, so if we get an eye wash station or our eye wash station that we have, okay, that would be contaminations, right? So that would be one where it needs to be cleaned up and taken care of. I mean, yeah, we do. It's you got to run it through the white jugs. Okay, any questions on disposal? That's just the key thing we need to touch base on.
If I have to drive someone to the hospital and there's a bunch of bloody stuff, I just take that with me, right? Because they can get rid of it.
I would leave it in there and go talk to somebody in the hospital, and then go from there. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. So, yeah, walk into the hospital. You know, obviously get the person the medical attention they need, but then after that, like, hey, like the truck has got, I got my jacket, my helmet, his helmet's there. Like this stuff is contaminated. What should we do? Okay, so don't just like, oh, dumpster, let's do this, right? Okay, all right. Good idea. Yeah, don't, if you're bleeding from cutting yourself from pruners, don't go grab a bunch of stuff that you're going to give to somebody else and then get it all bloody like I did to Miss Janessa. That's bad. And then she's holding them and like wiping them down. Okay. Okay. Bloodborne pathogens, everybody understand? Okay, cool. I need to send out, and I don't have, scan that for me real quick. I'm going to make sure that's the right link. Because we have to document it. This is what I should be doing every super school, but no, that's a Teams form. Nope. Okay, that's the wrong one. Okay. Dang it, my phone's being used. Okay, I will send out. So after this, it's really important, guys. Pay attention. Okay. After this, I'm going to send a link in the WhatsApp. I need you guys to fill out that information before you do anything today. Okay, and I will write in what you need to do. So it's our sign-in sheet that I made. You're going to go, you're going to sign in. We're going to click bloodborne pathogens, noise exposure, fire control plan, and lockout, tagout. Okay. And then the information, sign it, and then submit it. That way I can compile these and then send this off to the appropriate people and have it on file. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving on. Any questions on that? Okay. Disposal of bloodborne pathogen or contaminated items. Pretty simple. So do we throw it in the dumpster? Negatory. Okay. Cool. All right. Noise exposure. We're not gonna test. Okay, so the biggest thing on noise exposure. So our industry is if it's any noises over 85 decibels on a TWA, there needs to be noise reduction. So what does TWA stand for? It's a tough one. Okay, time weighted average. Okay, so if you experience noises over 85 decibels over the course of 8 hours, a time weighted average, and that's the average, not like just at 85, but you got peak loads and stuff like that. Okay, you are required to use personal protective equipment, which is hearing protection, to do the noise reductions behind that. Okay, so who knows what the decibel, right? So the noise decibel rating of a chainsaw is 105, buck 20. Yes. So between 100 and 120 decibel levels is what our chainsaws operate at. Some, like Jacob's, are a lot more because he's got the bark boxes on them and they're ripping faces off. It's probably that whining. You know, I didn't even think to put electric in there. We should look that up real quick. I don't want to buy one. Who's got Chat GPT on their phone? You have what? All right, ask Claude. Ask him what the decibel rating for the chainsaw electric saws are, please. Yeah, we'll confirm it too, but. Yeah. Okay, so 75, 85, and 115. Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah, electric saws, hearing protection, which is interesting to me. That's kind of neat too. So hey, you're right.
Can't hear a Prius coming, but you can hear
That's right. Can't hear Prius coach hear that. Yeah. Okay, so anything that has over 85. Okay, so just this is how scrutinizing the guys was. You guys did a good job on the questions, by the way. Even though only 6 of you did it when I asked 10 of you to do it, the 6 did a really good job. He was reading through the answers, and one of the answers was, at what noise level rating are hearing protection required? And the majority of you guys, except for 2, put it's at an 85 or an 80 decibel rating per an 8-hour workday. I was like, fantastic answer, guys. You're close. He's like, it's 85. I was like, I know it's 85, but they're really close. And it wasn't multiple choice either, which I'm impressed with you guys. Like, that's awesome. You guys wrote that in. I'm like, come on, dude, give it to us. Like 5 off. Like, I know it's 5 off, but yeah. And so that's why we're doing retraining. It's kind of how scrutinizing some of these people get. Okay, so it's 85. Okay, is the decibel rating. Okay, sorry, we gotta cruise through this stuff. Okay, within our health and safety program, we could do audio metrics where we go out with a certified listening device that gives us the exact rating of audio metrics and tells us the decibel levels of what our noise exposure is. The best way to go about it is to ask chat, obviously double check through the manufacturer, read the manufacturer's manuals. But basically anything that's got a gas powered chainsaws, your chippers, and even sometimes we work around the grapple trucks. Grapple trucks are loud. The bucket trucks can be loud, especially when they're kicking on that fan. So anytime the noise levels are raised above normal, just put that hearing protection on. It'll save you from getting tinnitus, which is what I call it, tinnitus. I have tinnitus, and it's horrible. Okay, it's not fun, and that's after 25 plus years of tree work. So every time a chance I get, I try to put hearing protection on, because at night when you're trying to sleep, all you hear is it doesn't go away. It does not go away. It's really annoying. Your wife is trying to talk to you, and you're like, huh? Okay, it's not fun. And hearing loss, you can't get it back. It's not like you get a cut arm or something like that. It stays gone forever. So if you're just making a quick cut or using the blower, the blowers are even at the 90 to 115 decibel ratings. Okay, the chippers are at 100 to 125 decibel ratings. So if you're running just a quick load, or you're just blowing the sidewalk off real quick, put your hearing protection on. Okay, it's really, really important. And it might not seem like, oh, it's just one time. Over the course of this industry, you are constantly exposed to a lot of loud noises, a lot of noise exposure, high noise decibel rated exposures. Put the PPE on. Okay, it's definitely worth it, especially if you plan to be doing this for a while. Just put the hearing protection on. Okay. Okay, so there's two types of controls that we can do to help prevent that, right? Administrative, engineering controls through the NIOSH hierarchy of controls, right? So we can eliminate the noise. Well, that means eliminating the chainsaws. We can't do that. We can do an engineering control. That means like putting a muffler on it, or noise reduction, the silencer on the kind of thing, right? Well, it's already made that way. We don't have that capability. Then we get into administrative controls, okay? So then that's where this is. This is an administrative control where it's a policy and procedure that we have written. That's the ANSI standard. That's an administrative control where you guys are required to put PPE on to reduce those noise levels, okay? Cool. Okay, so what's the TWA? Time weighted average. What does that mean, Jared?
Over an 8-hour workday.
Okay, what's the noise level at, Brian? 85 decibels, okay, 85. Cool. Any questions? Sweet. Okay. Oh, one key note. If you run something at that 85 or more for 5 to 10 minutes or you're around it, there is always going to be permanent hearing damage. Okay, it has been known, it's a health thing. If you're around a chipper or you're around a chainsaw and you're running it for between 5 and 10 minutes, there will be permanent hearing damage to your body. Okay, so please, hearing protection, and make sure it's seated properly, right? It's in there properly, it's covered, it's not like half on, right? It's seated in there. All right. I'm dumb sometimes, I know. Sorry. Okay. All right, fire. This one's going to be real quick. What is this? This is a fire extinguisher. Okay. So eventually, I will have, during our monthly inspections of our climbing equipment that you guys should be doing, right? Every month, you guys are filling out that form and submitting it. Yep. Everybody shake your head. Yeah. It's in the on the app. Okay. Part of that requirement is for fire extinguishers as well. I will make a tab in there for that. It is a visual inspection. So with visual inspections on a fire extinguisher, what are some key components that we're looking for? Brian, what are some key components we're looking for on fire extinguishers during a visual inspection? Okay, where's the date at? Okay. What kind of information's on that tag? Okay. Cool. Very good. Okay, what else? Jared. Okay, yep, the gauge. Make sure it's pressurized. Cool. It's in operating range, not overcharged or undercharged. Cool. What else? Janessa. Perfect. Functional components. These pins need to be in there. They cannot be missing, nor can they be tied down with, so some have like easy breakaway zip ties on them. That's fine. But if you guys are zip tying these like 3 or 4 using throw line string, that's a no-go, right? If I need to use this in a fire, I don't want to be fighting throw line string or zip ties trying to get this thing off to put a fire out. Okay, so pins in there. What else?
You have the right one?
Yeah, the right one. Good job, Al. Okay, what are the classifications? Do you know?
You want to put everything, right?
Yeah. Yep, for the trucks. Okay. So there's a lot of different types. I'm not an expert in them. I just know ours are ABC. So that means you can do stuff like gasoline, electrical hazards, stuff that like electricals, you can put that out, engine oil fires, and brush fires. Okay. There's other ones like K fire extinguishers are for welding, and that's all I know. Grease fires, that's the K one. That's right, that's the K one. So those are grease fires. Those are different, like in the kitchens. Did you guys have K fire or K fire extinguishers? Probably. Okay. Yep, it's different. And then there's ones that are just water. So those are different. There's some, definitely not those. No. And then there's some that have CO2, right? That are CO2, compressed CO2. Those are the ones that, they shoot people with them and stuff like that, right? Those are compressed CO2. So those are more for other fires that I don't know. I'm not an expert, so I just know chemical electrical. Yeah, so probably. Okay, because fire, the retardant that's in here, some of them can be, like water, can be electrically charged. So you don't want to put out a electrical fire with a hose. That would be stupid. So don't do that. Okay. So make sure it's the right fire extinguisher for what we have. Ours are ABC, and that's all around. So that's our building, and that's our trucks, and that's our job sites. Okay. Unless we have a specific job that requires something different, then we will do an SOP for that and provide the proper equipment. Okay. Because some jobs we might get onto might require us to have a water buffalo or a water tender with 300 feet of 1-inch hose and a pump that does so many gallons per minute and 300-gallon tank that's easily accessible. Or they might have suppressive foam that we might have to use. So depending on what we do and the regulations we have. Okay, cool. Any questions on fire extinguishers? Yes, sir. No. Yep, all components on it. Okay, definitely. If it's missing, we need to get rid of it and we'll replace it. Okay, we use UniFirst. They're our fire extinguisher providers now, so they will come in and do the annual inspections, making sure everything's functioning and good to go. The tags are still there. And then we are required as a company to do monthly visual inspections. Okay, so right now Corey Carpenter is our designated building inspector. So once a month he's going to go and visually inspect our building fire extinguishers. Okay. You foreman on the trucks that you have, I'm going to come up with a clever way so we can start doing monthly visual inspections. It might just be me for a while, just until we can figure it out. But we're going to start doing monthly visual inspections, and we got to document that. Okay. You did.
Mine just keeps floating around the truck. Ben's always coming out.
I hid them. It doesn't, because I was going to go in and mount them. Right. So we wanted them on it. Yes. I do not. Each truck is different, and they have different, like some manufacturers have different mounting areas. So whatever is already pre-installed, it's not. The only thing that would be standardized is at the job site that you guys pull it out and put it in a conspicuous spot so it's easily accessible. Okay. That's the key thing. So at the job sites, pulling them out of the trucks. Okay, especially if someone's working in the bucket truck. If the bucket truck catches on fire, the last thing you want to do is jump into a burning truck trying to put a fire out, try to access the fire extinguisher. We can. Yeah, that's a good idea. Cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep. Cool. So we'll start labeling them. We'll put the fire extinguisher, the big red slap the sticker in there where they're accessible. But guys, There's a lot of trucks and equipment out there. So doing those visual inspections, you just have to look at it. Just make sure it's charged, it's got all the components on it, it's not outdated, which it shouldn't be, because we do our annuals. If the tag's missing, let me know. We can start, eventually we're going to get a stockpile and we'll swap them out. That way, if there is an issue, we're not waiting for them to come in and fix it, that we can swap you guys out so you have what you need, okay? Okay? Any questions? Cool, fire extinguishers, okay. Very, very important. All right, last one, lockout, tagout. Okay, the key thing, so lockout, tagout, or LOTO, is what a lot of people call out, is a safety measure that's in place to control potential stored energy that might become released or engaged while you're doing maintenance. Okay, so give me an example, because the biggest thing we run into is our chippers. Okay, when we're doing chipper knives, what would be something we should lock out and tag out on that? You guys, any, Mr. Juan? On the chipper? On the chipper. Okay, keys, right? So the ignition source for the power unit, pulling the keys. What do we do with those keys? Pocket, okay. They go in your pocket or in a storage box that's locked and tagged. So in the industrial setting of a building, lockout, tagout, there are designated individuals. Ours is Mr. Will. He is the only one certified to do this at Tall Timbers, okay? So when he's working on a truck or he tags something, he has his lockout, tagout box, right? The def box, okay? Keys go in there and then it gets locked. That way nobody uses it or engages that if he's operating or working on that vehicle or piece of equipment. So someone can't just hop in and be like, I just need to move it 2 feet, but he's underneath that or inside that, and then he gets entangled and hurt real bad, okay? So keys. What else? Hydraulics. What about the hydraulics? Okay, so that would be like a gravitational lock. Okay, right. So to keep that yoke from coming down. Yep. So right, that's stored energy, that's potential energy. So when you lock that out, that's what that bar is for. We don't use breaker bars. We don't use carabiners. We don't use rope to tie that off. We use the designated device to lock that out, and that's key too, right? If it has stored energy and there's a device to contain it, we use that device and nothing else. Okay, we're not using rocks or shoving logs in there to keep the thing up, right? We're using the yoke lock bar to contain and store that energy. Okay, so that's lockout, tagout. The issue we had with RAVS 360 is the authority behind that. Okay, so in lockout, tagout, there is a certified designated person who does that, who lock out and tags out those kinds of things. Okay, so Mr. Will is our designated person. If you're working on the chipper, designate the individual. Like if Jacob's working on it, so you can do it all the time, he's going to pull the keys and he shoves them in his pocket. He's now the designated individual who's going to control and lock out, tag out that unit, and he is in charge of it. So unless Jacob says otherwise, or the designated person who's in control of locking out, tagging out that piece of equipment says otherwise, you are not to do anything to that unit without his authority, okay, or her authority, or whose ever authority, okay? Does that make sense? They are that in charge, that they are that individual who is in charge of lockout, tagging that piece of equipment, okay? So with that, when he pulls the keys, he is now the designated guy or gal, whoever's doing it, who's in charge of that unit. They're the only ones, unless they pass along, to put the keys back in and remove any lockout devices. Okay. Now, this doesn't pertain to us, but this is more in depth of the lockout tagout. Is when it's a designated person, they usually have their own lock or a badge or tag that they put on that device. Okay. So in the instance of chippers, which this is something we don't do, we're not required to, but this is just part of that little further in depth of lockout tagout, is so with your tag, so Jacob would have a tag or a lock that's got his name on it. It's his personal code or combination or key that he's in charge of. So he would lock out that unit to keep that unit from being inadvertently engaged or used, or a stored energy released that could cause him harm while he's working on said unit. Okay. So in the yoke bar lock, right, we're not doing this, but this is something like an example. He would put a lock on that yoke bar lock that would prevent you from pulling that out. And so the question is, who is authorized to remove that lock from that? Only said designated person. Okay. And that is the key to the, or the answer to that, that question. Okay. Only the person, the designated person who is assigned, or if it's their lock, if it's got their name on it, or if it's got their tag, they're the only one that's going to remove those locks. Okay. Does that make sense? Cool. Everybody copy? Okay. So bloodborne pathogens, how do we dispose of biohazards? Properly. What is properly? Very good. Yeah. Bag taken to the proper place. Properly bagged, taken to the right place to dispose of properly, right? The proper authorities or company or whoever does that, that's the way we do it. Okay, cool. What is the noise TWA level? 85 at an 8-hour workday. Yep, very good, very good, cool. These are all really easy. You guys are smart. I gotta come up with some clever questions. Yeah. What's the square root of the hypotenuse on a Saturday morning? Okay. What type of fire extinguishers do we have on our equipment? ABC. Okay, cool. Yep. Yep. Hydraulic fluid, gasoline, engine oil, stuff like that. Yep. Could I use? No, never mind. No, you could. You could. You could. Yeah, you could. Okay, and then when should I implement the lockout tagout program or policy? When does that need to be implemented? This is where you start speaking that language. Yes, Janessa.
When repairs or procedures require employees to work inside or around equipment for which guards may be temporarily removed for other safety purposes.
Perfect. Perfect. That's awesome. Very good, right? She can read. She can read, okay? So, just some advice. Eventually, you all will interact or encounter a safety inspector, a project manager, supervisor, someone with high authority that speaks this language, okay? They're going to ask you questions that you might not know the answer to, okay? So remembering where to find it is important, okay? I would rather give that answer than I don't know, right? Think about how, like, if I was the supervisor for Colorado Springs Utilities, okay, we'll bring them up, okay? And I'm the supervisor for the safety department. And my job is to drive around and find things that are wrong with the operation. That's my job. My job is to make sure you're safe, but in reality is keeping you safe is finding wrong things to prevent bad things from happening, right? That's my job. I'm going to find something, right? I'm really good at finding things, aren't I, Brian? Really good at finding things, aren't I? Yep, I will find it. Because every job site's really difficult to control and contain and to do perfectly. It's tree work. It's tough, right? So that's my job. and I come out and I ask you a question like I just did to Janessa, right? When do you guys use the lockout tagout policy? Okay, they're gonna ask you stuff like that. What is your guys' policy on fire extinguishers? They're gonna ask you what's your guys' policies on chaps, noise exposure. Okay, the best answer you can give is say, I know it, but let me make sure I'm right. And you pull up that E.H.S document. Do you see how easy it was for me to find the stuff? So at the top is a what in the hell? Who's ever seen something like this? It's called the contents page. Table of contents. All right. Dang it. You're right. Yes. Table of contents or the contents page, right? In there, you can quickly access, right, that document or that and find that page, what they're talking about. The best answer you can give is just go straight to the E.H.S or whatever document they're looking for and say, yeah, all right, pull up, right, medical records or hearing conservation plan, page 31. Boom, page 31, go there, look for the question, like this is what we do. If when I show up to a job site, okay, because it's hard to remember all of this information. Like we are the jack of all trades. We're construction workers, we're heavy equipment operators, we're crane operators, we're theoretical physicists on removals and right understanding load forces, and we're athletic climbers because we're pruning trees and accessing the canopy that are in difficult spots to access, right? So we're athletic. We're SPRATA and IRATA rope access people. We're small engine mechanics. We're big engine mechanics. Like, what's that? Chemical applicators. Like we have the biggest spectrum of required information within our industry. It's ridiculous. It is very difficult to remember every little detail. The best thing in your toolbox is to know where to find that information. Okay, so if I come in and I ask that question to Janessa and she's like, I don't know, and she looks it up, she gives me the answer. If I find something, unless it's like life threatening, I'm going to talk about it. But I'm not going to be as hard as if I walked up to Brian and Brian was like, I don't know, and then doesn't do anything about it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what else don't you know, Brian? Right? Let's find out. Like, okay, right? That's my attitude, and that's usually the attitude of everybody within the safety department stuff, is because what that shows is your ignorance and your lack of care for your job site, for your safety, and for the industry. If you don't care enough to find the information and give it to me correctly, right? What else don't you care about is my idea. And I'm going to look for what else you don't care about, because ultimately is because I want you guys to be safe. I want to find the problems and fix them and teach you. That way we can go better behind it, okay? That makes sense? That's the mindset of a lot of those people, okay? So if you don't know, you know where to find it. If not, you know somebody. You have, what was that name again? Your Gemini?
Oh, Claude.
Claude. You have Claude and chat and all that stuff. Obviously, refer to the manufacturer, like I said a few weeks ago. Get the information from the manufacturer, but find that information, know it, retain it, and know where to find it, okay? Okay, any questions? Are we all smart now? Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Put chairs away, circle up.